My name is Bert Farrell. I was born in Atleek, County Roscommon. Went to Atleek National School, CBS Roscommon. In 1950 I went to University College Galway. Qualified in 1956. Did my usual hospital internship.
So you went to school, national school locally?
Yes, in Atleek.
And what was it like, the school like that time? Was it strict?
It was very strict. You had, I suppose, 3 teachers' school.
Yeah.
The master and 2 assistants, the usual sort of rural school.
Did you use the Baltimore?
Yes, but I was fortunate enough, that,
You weren't the victim of it that much, no?
not really. I suppose people accuse me maybe of being a teacher's pet, so I used to do a lot of messages, and there was a lady teacher and she had a boyfriend in town, and I spent quite a bit of time sort of exchanging notes.
And what kind of subjects were you doing that time?
Oh, they were doing maths, English, Irish, algebra.
You do algebra?
The usual thing, yeah. And we of course, religion was very important.
Were there many pupils in that school that time?
I would say about 60 to 70.
No, it wasn't a big school then.
No.
Was it a village school or was it a towny school?
Village school.
Village school, yeah. And then you went into the CBS in Roscommon?
With the CBS Roscommon.
Were you boarded there, or were you travelling in and out?
No, they didn't have borders. It was just a day school.
And how did you get in and out that time?
I cycled in there.
Many miles is it?
5 miles.
Each way?
Yes, each way. Yeah.
Each way. That kept you fit?
Yeah, it was pretty fit. But then...
Did you miss much time with the weather now?
Very little.
Right.
You couldn't use the weather as an excuse unless there was heavy snow or that.
It was amazing.
That was only for 2 years.
Yeah.
For 2 years. Then we got a bit posh and we got a school bus. And if the driver of the school bus was ill, I used to drive the bus.
And who paid for the bus?
The Pest Pupils Union paid for the bus. I think it was one of the first in Ireland. And I used to really drive from Roscommon to Lanesborough.
What age were you then?
I certainly wasn't covered by insurance, and
There was no talk of insurance that time, no?
not talking, but the headmaster and brother superior, he sort of said, Bert, here you can drive, and you might drive the bus, which I would out to, and I was scared.
And what size was the
I was
bus?
the only person really scared.
What size was the bus?
30 passengers.
Oh, it's a big bus then, yeah.
Because
From the minivan, not a minivan, no?
Oh no, there was a big bus. Big bus. Well, I used to drive the old lorries at home and that.
Oh, okay, so you were really experienced.
We're in the grain business, and I was driving till it was about 12 or 13. And, you used to have to put a cushion under me.
And would you be out on the public road at 12 or 13? Around the yard or
Yes.
on the road?
Yeah. People in the village said there's a car passed and there was no driver. I was so small they couldn't see me.
And would you ever be stopped by the law?
No. They say, yeah, we had a police station there with a few guards, they might say to my older brothers, well, I think you should take that fellow off the road, that'll follow him for a while, but no. But at that time, sort of, you could do those sort of things.
And how did you spend your spare time now as a teenager? Kid? Sport?
Sport. Hurling was quite a popular sport
In that
village,
area,
I think,
that league? Still is?
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. Fishing? Near the river there, were you?
Yeah, we'd do some fishing with the coarse fishing for the pike, perch and sit down on the bank with the suck and have a line and cork and have the cork bob me up and down
Wow.
and fall asleep on the bank, wake up maybe several hours later. Sunburn.
Sunburn. I remember some big thing that time. The other thing is cinema. Was cinema much popular in your time? Was it popular?
At that time, we used to have travelling cinema. McFadden's would come with the marquee and come for a week to the village, and we'd go to the matinees and the adults would go to the night show.
And how often would they come?
4 old pence.
4 pence.
240 pence to the pound of it.
And can you remember any of the films of the day? The big ones?
Oh, they were the Western, even the Charlie Chaplins were quite popular at that time.
That time,
you know.
That must be the end of the Chaplin era, was it?
Well, the end of the
Yeah, the
Chaplin.
Chaplin,
Oh
yeah.
yes, like that, you know.
There was a bit of sound coming into them, was there?
Yeah, but they'd be getting the cheaper films really in those travelling places. And then the new cinema was built in Roscommon, and we used to go there occasionally.
Dances?
Oh yes, we go to the dances. In that area, you had a lot of carnivals. They still up to a few years ago had them in Ballygar.
Were you there for the show? Were you around for the show band era, or were you just before it?
Over there, yes, for Stephen Garvey, Bert Flynn, all the popular bands at that time.
They were big bands, really, weren't they?
They were big bands, and they played at the carnivals and the marquees, and we were well catered for as regards the dancing.
Plenty of entertainment. So what was it like in UCG and or in UIG as they call it nowadays, I think, isn't it?
It was great because we had a very small class.
How many was in that
We
class?
had,
About?
I think about 20 started.
And how many ladies in it?
And there were only 4 of that
4.
class that qualified.
They were it was very unusual that time for women to do medicine, wasn't it?
It was.
Very unusual.
Was, we had two ladies in the class.
You had 2 ladies.
Which was
Nowadays they have 2 men.
nice. Yes, that's it, yes.
Yes. What was social life like in college that time?
Social life was great. Galway was quite a small place at that time, and everybody knew everybody. It was great. You studied hard, you played hard.
What venues did you go to in Galway that time? Pubs and dance halls? And
Well, Keelan's opposite the hospital was very popular, if you could afford it. The Skiff, near Square.
lasted a long time. I was there.
Yeah, and
Bill Ford.
you'd get a few pints on credit that time.
Pay after summer holidays.
Bill was an extraordinary man. He was very, very good to students, and I understand he had very few bad debts.
I was talking to Corla, his daughter, and she told me one guy stuck them for money. And it wouldn't be a lot of money because they were students. Fantastic place, all right. Dances?
Oh, Sea Point.
Sea Point was there that time.
Sea Point was there, yeah.
It must have been new, was it?
It was very new
Very
that
new,
time,
yeah.
very new. I think it was there, you know, and the old one in Salt Hill,
The Hangar.
the hangar, yes.
What years were them? What years were you in Galway?
I was in university from 1950 to 56.
56.
Qualified in 56.
What did you do after that then?
Well, I was an intern in the regional hospital, and then I did a few locums. I intended to study for my membership and took a job in Middlesbrough. No interview. It was a very pleasant place to work. My intention was to study and move on towards London and get sort of
Join the big
better
time.
hospital posts.
Join the big time.
Then I decided after 6 months I better go home and study, and I then was in the Coombe on several occasions, doing my 3 months as a CC. Anytime I was short of a job, to be a vacancy in the Coombe. I did 6 months in Temple Street, the Children's Hospital, and one of the regrets I have is that I was offered a registrar post in Temple Street. The registrar was leaving, and there was one of the nuns who I was friendly with, and she was very anxious that I would stay on, and that would be the only regret I have really, that I didn't do that.